Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the Clallam EDC Coffee with Colleen chat. Colleen is not in the office today, so I'll be facilitating the chat today. We are excited to have our friend Valente Perry. He's the P3 Public-Private Partnership Manager, Program Manager with the Washington Emergency Management Division, EMD. And then we also have Cynthia Cal from the SBA joining us today. So they both will give us a short presentation, and then you have some time at the end, hopefully, to ask some questions. A few housekeeping items before we kick off. If everyone can remain on mute while we're in the chat, just avoids any background noise coming in. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat, and we'll call on you. But besides that, Valente, you are up.
Okay, sounds good. It's still crooked. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, EDC, Mitch, and Colleen, and Lori. Thank you for letting me have a little bit of your time this morning and join you for coffee. So, like Mitch had said, I will have, and I don't see her yet, but Cynthia from SBA will be joining to wrap up the last part of this presentation. So, Mitch, do I just take control and say, show my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen there at the bottom if you're able to.
Okay. Can you let me know when you guys see it?
Okay.
Okay. Gosh. Sure. Okay. Is it too small, too big, or I need to?
I can see your whole screen.
Maybe I can make it bigger.
Yeah, there you go. That looks better.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go through these slides. And if you don't hear or see me at any point, please just raise your hand and scream out, "Hey, Valente."
Will do.
Okay. So the whole bulk of my presentation is going to be today on the business reentry program that we have here at Washington Emergency Management Division. And some of you have may have heard of it previously during probably early COVID, pre-COVID. It was a program that was initiated by my boss, Tristan Allen, and it kind of just went to the wayside a little bit just because we had COVID and then there was some vacancies in the EMD. So it kind of went stagnant a little bit. So we've been trying to re-energize it over the last year. And if you're not familiar with the BRE program, you can look at mostly Eastern Seaboard states because a lot of them have to have a reentry program. And it's especially when you have hurricanes 6 times a year. So it's pretty crucial, especially for businesses to get back into an affected area. So a quick agenda, and I'll try not to be too tangential about anything, but at least the slides will keep me on track is what I'm hoping. So we'll go through what it is, who it's for, how to register, why they should register, and when they should do it. And then quickly, I'll cover a little bit of business continuity planning, and then my colleague will run over some of the SBA disaster assistance resources. And then please feel free to ask any questions or raise your hand anytime along. And yeah. So I'm moving on. Okay. I just gotta make sure I know how to switch this thing up there. Okay. So what is business reentry? Kind of basically what I just said. It's a volunteer program, and it's really for information sharing. And in a nutshell, I mean, aside from all the words on here for this, is it's a way to have a county emergency response plan in place for a prioritized and orderly access back into an affected area. So if you look, just think of it as like, yeah, you got a hurricane coming up, but we don't have hurricanes. Okay, you have an event happening, and there's an affected area, and everyone does a mass exodus out of the area, and it'd be great because everybody's businesses are priority to them because they're their own businesses. But you do want to have a prioritized re-entry program coming back in. So, it's awesome if you have a toy store but toys are probably not going to be the priority that need to come back into an affected area. You're probably looking at utilities or pharmacies or engineers to get in to make sure structures are going to not fall over as soon as they get back into them. So all the initial necessities that an affected area would have, that would also play into county emergency management planning or city emergency management planning or local kind of jurisdiction things. So that's in a nutshell the importance of a business reentry program. So businesses sign up for it, and again, this is voluntary. This is nothing state mandated. Some states do mandate it, just putting that out there, but Washington, because we don't need to use it 6 times a year. But that's it. You sign up for it, and you sign your business up for whatever, whether it's I'll get to that slide. Sorry, who needs to sign up for it? See, this tangentiality here. But what is important to know is what it doesn't do is it doesn't grant access. So you sign up for it, and you get a certificate for it because your business is signed up for a specific component to that affected area, and it doesn't give any authority to like say, hey, well, I just signed up with Valente Perry and he says I can get it. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's still all the enforcement occurs at the county level or the affected level or whoever's in charge of it. Usually it's going to be the county or the city. And so, but it's just a way for that affected area to prioritize who needs to actually get in and who needs to, hey, can you please just take a seat over there in this rest area? And then once we get around to your toys to get back into your affected area, into your toy shop, then we'll let you know. So that's a big thing about this, and I just don't want anybody to ever like, the state is saying we need to sign up for this, because you're not. It's voluntary. It's a tool. I think it's a helpful tool, especially when you look at case studies on the Eastern Seaboard with North Carolina and South Carolina through Helene and Milton and all that stuff, and it's great. I mean, they've got it down to perfection when everyone gets the warning, and then they head out, and then everyone just kind of gets in an orderly fashion and goes back into knowing that if they don't do that, it's just chaos, and trying to get a community back up on their feet is paramount. Okay, I'm going to. All right, so these are so when you sign up for the business BRIE and using the website, which I'll touch on a little bit later into this, but you're going to sign up your business for one of the 3, whether it's a critical business function, a critical infrastructure based on 16 critical infrastructure factors by FEMA, or an insurance provider. And so what you will see is the registration is super simple. Basically, you're clicking which one of these is your business, and then you're giving some insights, and you're push and go, and it comes straight to me. And then I'm just checking it through, making sure it's validated every year. So it's pretty simple, but this is what this is who it's for. It's going to be for, all businesses, and you're just going to lump yourself into one of those businesses. Okay, this kind of just touching back what I was hitting on earlier. Who should what? I think everybody should. I mean, it's a great thing to have every business in a county sign up for this, because it's going to give that county emergency manager, that city emergency manager, the ability to plan, to know exactly who's operating in that area and what resources they might have to pull from and connect with. So it's not for Big Brother or anything like that. It's just more just like having awareness and be able to have your business, because I'd imagine if it's your business, it's your blood and your sweat and your paycheck, your life, your checkbook, all going at it. So you'd want to be recognized, especially in the event of a disaster where like, hey, I need to be prioritized to get into an affected area. Again, that's all enforced by the county emergency management or city emergency management. But that's why I would encourage all businesses to sign up for it. And it doesn't have to be not just big businesses. It could be the taco truck. It could be the Amazon driver or the Amazon distribution center. I mean, it's from the smallest to the largest. So it's all inclusive, just making sure, everybody can sign up on this program. Currently, I have roughly 2,300 businesses across Washington. That's kind of their legacy from holdover, but they're still on board. And like I said, I'll go through through the registration process in a second, and you'll see it's super simple, free, painless. You get an email every year on your anniversary, like, hey, do you want to keep doing this? And then that's it. I mean, so there's really no, I mean, I guess I'm not a business owner, but from what I see, there's no downside to it. It takes like literally 30 seconds, and then you're registered in there, and it really helps the overall emergency planning in the event of, gosh, a Cascadia size event, which we really hope doesn't come our way. But and looking at your location there, it's yes, it'd be good to be prepared for that, as
It's
you're all well
possible.
aware.
I mean,
Yeah,
we had Professor Harold Tobin from UW. He's the author of the subduction zone study, and he kind of broke down there's a real possibility. Don't quote me on this, but I think there's a 15% chance it happens in the next 50 years. I have to go back and watch the video to know for sure, but I think it's around there. So it's a real possibility, living out here on the North Olympic Peninsula.
absolutely. Yeah, and I talked to our uh, our earthquake expert here, Brian Turbush, that works at EMD, and I was asking about your guy because I remember when he was presenting, and I
Mhm.
was asking Brian, like, all right, so is this guy on? Is he spot on? He's like, oh yeah, like I'll go to him for information. He checks out my stuff, so yeah, it's very critical, especially in that the whole Olympic pin with the Cascadia subduction zone and the tsunami, and I think even looking at some of the FEMA planning factors, it's Fairchild. That's one of the remaining staging areas that'll be up and running. I mean, the whole area around you is projected to be in pretty dire straits. But so I mean, something like, yeah, business reentry to get out, and then at some point when everything is going back in, um, yeah, it'd be good to have a little bit more of a prioritized, organized process to get a community back up on its feet.
Absolutely. Not to freak anyone out or anything, but it's something we should consider day to day. We got a few questions and comments in the chat already. Carol
Oh,
asked,
sure.
does
I'm sorry.
the partner or promote through local chambers? Um, yeah. So, and also curious, like what at what county level does the Washington EMD um, collaborate with the county EMD or chambers, if at all?
Yes. Okay. So, um, so this is EMD's effort right now. They've got Valente Perry um, running out and trying to. Sorry, here I'll see if I can. So I can't. They've got me running out and just making sure I'm connecting with EDCs or SBAs or chambers or fire departments or city and county emergency managers. So this is the attempt to get out there and work to promote this throughout Washington, honestly. So, and it's a kind of a slow process just because it's just me, and I'm trying to partner up with like my SBA counterparts and anybody else I can bring into, like I'll go into Shoreline or going to North Bend and doing this same thing because aside from this and getting an audience to register, to look at the website, and to even reach out to other EMD entities. Like there's in our enterprise there on Camp Murray. I mean, there's folks for grants and training and exercise and hurricanes and mitigation planning and earthquakes, and like it's a whole gamut of emergency management. So that's when I go out, I consider myself as I'm not a dot, but I can connect the dots. So coming away from this, um, I mean, you have my contact information at the end of this, but it's it's huge. It's paramount to make sure that counties and cities are connected with EMD. And I think there's just been such a big gap that's evolved over the last couple of years between that. A lot of counties are very proprietary, and they know there are disasters that are about ready to come up, and they know that they can take care of it because they have taken care of it. But now looking at something that's as large as a Cascadia subduction zone event and a 9.0 earthquake, making sure that connection between the city and the county and the state, and then our FEMA counterparts for Region 10, we're all connected on the same sheet, because it's one of the things that when this position was created about a year ago by my boss, there wasn't a lot of focus on that private sector connection. And so that's what I've been trying to really do over the last year is get it going, because I mean, that's when I look at example or look at exercises that we have at EMD, whether it's with a Columbia generating station for a nuclear leak or something, like there's never a private sector presence. It's just always us kind of planning in our vacuum these really great plans, and that's awesome. But my question is always like, all right, so what about the people that are actually going to be doing this stuff? And so that's enter me and having this discussion with you all. And I hope that was a little bit more on. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul also had a comment. He said Washington EMD is currently working on a tsunami marine strategy for Clallam County, which is exciting to hear. He also said Clallam County Emergency Management, municipalities, USCG, U.S. Coast Guard, and the Port of Port Angeles are working through the process, and kickoff meeting is forthcoming. Just wanted to thank you for your time, and says you're overdue for catch up. So maybe you guys connect on after this call.
No, that would be great. And yeah, so for that tsunami thing, like I don't know if you recall, last year there was we had an exercise with our tsunami experts that went up to Nia Bay, and we spent a day there working through a tsunami that was originating in Alaska to give us 3 hours to be able to come through and kind of figure it out. And that's, I mean, there was a lot of lessons learned that came out of that, like a lot of things that were highlighted. And that's the kind of thing that we would love to continue setting up with anybody that wants to have an exercise just to test their capability. Like there, it was, I mean, whether it was just there's that one route in and out of Nia Bay, and if the schools can even hear the sirens, who has access or authority to turn on the sirens? What about all those DNR roads that have gate access? Do we have vehicles to get them up to the high ground? And then we put it in the middle of Macaw days, so add another 10,000 people, and likely a lot of them are coming from Canada. So now you have two countries involved and trying to figure out comms with all of them, because as you know, comms is pretty weak, and we didn't have, you know, if Starlink or some kind of satellite equivalent isn't up, then you know it's, I mean, just all the things to work through. I mean, there really isn't clear answers for it all, but as long as it's aware of things that we have to recognize. And so those are the kind of things that would be great to continue to set up with really anybody that wants to reach out or like have a presentation like this, or if they want me to grab the ear of one of my colleagues here at EMD to like, hey, can you give them a rundown, or maybe we need to go set up a tabletop and just do a 1 or 2 day exercise with them, kind of just work through it with their businesses or their team or their area.
Awesome. The other Paul Gottlieb had another question. He said, would the elimination of FEMA as proposed by President Trump have any impact on the business reentry program?
Oh, okay. No, that's a good question. I think I've had it a couple times before, but like, no, because and I've talked to my FEMA counterpart and from the first time to make sure like you guys aren't going to have any impact on the state's reentry programs. Like, no. That's something that we leave up to the states. They're not going to interfere with it. You know, they're going to have their own federal staging areas, and we try to align our state staging areas with, you know, some of the places, most of the places, or if not all the places that they plan on using as logistical staging areas. But as far as our BRE plan, they don't have any impact on it. They're just like, all right, this is what you guys got in place, and we're not going to touch it. Just just tell us how we can support it. So no, it won't. I guess that's a long answer, but it's not going to impact the state's reentry program.
Great.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, do I still have the screen? Are you still looking at mine?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Wait a second, did I get too far ahead? I'm sorry, I apologize. Let's see, who's it for? Covered that. This is why you would have it, to really help out everybody and get registered, so there's accountability, and planning teams on the emergency side can figure out who's who in the zoo, so to speak. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can. So there's three links at EMD that you can register for. One is just the information page. You'll come to it and be like, this is what the business range program is, along with the business emergency operations center, and how to contact Valente. And then there's the registration page, and that's where you actually go on and you register. And I'll show you that here in a second. And then there's the index page. The index page is just a Rolodex of everybody that's registered for. So you can section it off by counties and just kind of see like who in my area and maybe I'm close to that's registered for that I can reach out for and ask. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. Let's see if it'll just pop it up. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just a quick snapshot of the registration page, and I mean that's it. You're going to fill in your business name, your UBI, Universal Business Identifier Number, because that's how we're going to validate it. So when I receive this, I'm going to take your UBI and look it up in the Department of Revenue's database and see, everything's good, copacetic, and then really just push approve. So you just give it your address. It's going to ask for, it gives you options for one primary point of contact and two secondary points of contact. And then here's mention of the the BRE access cards. So you ask how many you would like to have for your business. So if you have 10 employees, 10 trucks, and you just want to have a 20 total, then request 20. And then so the link that you'll get after you register will give you 20 of these certificates to print out. So your vehicles can put them in the glove box and your employees can have them put it in their cars. And so there's that access paperwork. So the way we've seen it on the eastern side of the U.S. is that when they come into a checkpoint that's possibly ran by their state patrol, they're like, all right, show me your reentry certificate, and they'll pull it out and they're like, okay, you've got a number one, or you're a critical infrastructure, or you're an insurance provider. So then so that's why it's important also for this to get out to Washington State Patrol to make sure they're also tracking this. But that's the reason that you would have that card in your glove box or whatever, and or on your person, or you hand them out when I guess however you want to distribute to your employees. That's the point here. And then if you want to give you hit all the counties. So you go through the counties that you are in Washington, and then you're selecting the type of organization you are, and then you're looking through to see who in your organization is trained on emergency management operations. And then for continuity of operations, this is where you would ask yourself, do we have a business continuity plan or emergency plan or crisis plan for our business in the event of something happening? And those are the two check blocks. And if you don't business continuity plan, well, we're also here to help do that too. I mean, there's a ton of resources out there too, but specifically if there wants to be a workshop or something in an area for businesses, then we can help with that too. But I'll get to that here in a little bit. And then you just check the bottom and create it. And then what it's going to do, it's just going to come to me and I'm going to look at it, verify it, and then hit approve. And then you're going to get an email with the link to say, here's your certificates, you're approved, print these out. In a year, actually in 11 months, you're going to get another email because it's going to be 30 days out from your anniversary saying, hey, how's it going? You still want to be part of this? Everything good? Any changes? And if not, then cool. Tell us yes. And I'll get it. I'll reapprove it. And then you're good for another year. Or you're like, we don't really want to do this anymore. Or maybe we've moved out of state or whatever the case is that you just no longer want to have be part of the BRE program, then that's cool too. You say, no, thanks. So it's just as simple as that. And it's a quick process. All the information, there's no crazy science about it. That's just it.
Great.
Do I have any questions about?
It looks like you have a comment. Right now you're sharing the view of the camera, so you're not showing the presentation anymore.
Oh, crap. Okay. Sorry.
No.
Let me
There
bring
it
it out.
is. There it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
John Temple just had a comment said regarding FEMA with the suggestion of dissolution, it makes our state and local efforts all that more important for business really just preparedness.
Oh, completely agree. Yes. I mean, I know it's just common. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's something we even just at EMD talk about, like the importance of getting out and getting after connecting with all of our counties and all the cities. I mean, that's, I don't know, in my mind, it's always like that's what we should be doing afterwards. And FEMA and beyond is kind of a secondary thought, but like without the partnerships that we need to create right now, especially over the last couple of years, it seems like there's just that connection gap between so many. Like when I reach out or even just talk to some of these emergency managers, I mean, just the information isn't there about what the state could provide, or even that there's a, for example, a business emergency operations center in Washington. That's also another initiative I'm really trying to get going, because uh, the National Business Emergency Operations Center that FEMA has led, they've got kind of a virtual thing, and there's about 13 states that have some kind of form of a business emergency operations center. But if we can get that up and going, that's just another tool, voluntary tool for business to business or private sector to private sector interaction. To something happens in your area and you're at a I don't know, a food bank, and you need a bunch of plastic bags to hand out food to an affected area, but you don't have those, and you don't have the guy's number down the street because you don't know him. He's not buddies with you, but through a BEOC, you all can connect on there. Like, hey, who's in the area? I need bags. And it's kind of also a resource opportunity for local area to reach out to see who's got bags, who's got a refrigerated truck that I can use because I got a bunch of dairy in my store that needs whatever the case is. But yeah, so I apologize. That was very again verbose for Jeannie. Thank you for that comment. Or John. Um, I
You
agree.
do have a question for Jeannie, though. It reads, in the BRE, when you ask about location, is it only your principal location or which counties you serve or that you may need to get into to help?
Um, it can be both. So it's going to be, yeah, wherever your headquarters is or your primary location is, um, and whatever the counties are that you serve. Like it can be both of them. Sorry, let me make sure I didn't um, read the question. I didn't miss anything on it. I apologize. Uh,
So this is Jeannie. My question is, as the consultant part of my services emergency management. So I'm located in Pierce County, but I may be called to help the Port of Port Angeles. Do I put um, that county as a location?
oh, yes, you would put that county.
Okay,
Yeah, any
thank you.
you're welcome. Sorry,
No,
probably
that's
looking into it more.
I probably didn't make my question clear, but that's my basic question is I work for a
Okay.
lot of ports and I I would like to help them if they need my help, but I may be able to I may need to get to their location.
Okay, yeah, and honestly, like if there's no telling where you could show up and there's a need and a necessity, like hit all the counties,
Okay,
put them all on there. So I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be down to just one or trying to like any even future possibility of you being to an area. Click on that county.
excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll even send a boat for you.
Hey, that'd work because I'm on the water. So if I'm not under a tsunami, then that would be wonderful.
No worries.
Paul, I'm not sure. I don't know if there's been any news on the EO capital budget. Are you talking about equal opportunity capital budget?
Yeah, Roger, there's some movement on a couple of bills that have been circulating around about creating a EO emergency operations budget line item for counties and municipalities to use for any construction improvements, upgrades they need to do to their EOCs. So
Oh,
for that, and just thought maybe you might have some insight on from the inside on that.
I don't, but I think but I can absolutely get back to you on that and ask around at work and find out if anybody else is, it just might not be something that I'm tracking, but I'm sure somebody's tracking in there. So
Yeah,
that would be great.
I'll try to get some information for you. Former Rep Todd Milkey, who's our county administrator here.
Let's see. I'm going to try to take a note on this so I don't let this fall off. Okay, let's see. I will. I'm running out of. I apologize if I'm kind of dragging, but no, this is a great conversation. I appreciate it. Okay, so going back to my slides there, when should now? I mean, I would say, yeah, now really is, there's no better time than just getting that re-registration or your business continuity plan up and going. So, yeah, now's the time to do it. And then, this kind of goes into the BRE and business continuity. And, I'm not trying to insult anybody from colleges here now too, because you all know what the difference is. And I found that, some folks just rely, some businesses, what I've seen, just rely on insurance, and like, wow, what's your business continuity plan? Well, I've got this insurance. Well, that's awesome. There is a difference. I mean, if you're looking at Maui, and a lot of them just had insurance, and if you're independently wealthy enough to just like, yeah, my business doesn't need to be in operation for the next 2 or 3 years while insurance companies come out and take their pictures, maybe cut a check and all that stuff too. That's a way. It's, I would say when you're overlapping coverage and having a business continuity plan and insurance, that's probably optimal. So just quickly, here's like, if you look at balancing the two, business continuity plan and insurance. Business continuity plan, of course, is working to get you up and operational, and not just you, but a community. And then when you're looking at insurance, it's going to provide that financial protection. Hopefully, not long term, more, I don't know, short to midterm. But those are the differences, and so that's what we're really aiming to push for private sector businesses to just take the time, because there's a ton of resources out there. I've got a few resources where it's simply just a sheet, a small form that you fill out, you have your employees fill out, making sure what you're going to do if they can't get into work, or what are the communications backup, or what are your supply chain needs, who do you have to reach out for if you're dependent on groceries coming in or fuel coming in, and just all the numbers that you should have on your business continuity plan, even if it's just a handful of just numbers, important numbers that you'll need to make sure your business is up and running as soon as you want it to be, or how you can dial in to help other business partners get up and running to eventually get to your business if you're not on that priority list. If you've got the toy store and you just want to get everybody up and running so you can bring your toys back in.
Is that a worksheet, or is that something you could send us?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I will send it to you, and there's a couple links I think I'll have to pull up, but I will get you. See it? Nope. Okay, never mind. I was wondering. I think I cut it off on my last slide, but there is a link. There's a worksheet, and it's perfect. I mean, you can print it out in Word, PDF, whatever it is. Hand them out to your employees. Say, take this home, fill it out, please. Bring it back to me so you can put it in a file and have it there. So in case something happens, you can pull it back out and, all right, I know exactly what situation of this employee is and where he lives, and if there's a bridge between us, or he's got kids in school, whatever it is. And so it's a great tool, and this is one of the things that we would love to offer to any counties or cities, to do like a day-long workshop of this, of just walking through this kind of process and taking the time to help you build out your business continuity plans, because it's pretty important. At this time, do we have any questions? And I am wondering, oh, I'm sorry.
Looks like we got one. John asks, will you be going out to meet businesses to help them with their business reentry planning, like the county helps with residential neighborhood preparation?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my contact information is here, and my job is just to connect with businesses, the city, the county EMs, and just knowing that, like, I don't want to go into anybody's backyard. So for your awareness too, like if a business contacts me, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Just so you know, I'm going to make sure I go around and loop in that county EM or that city EM to make sure they're not like, hey, Valente, what are you doing in Colleen County? Like, I didn't know you were going to be here. I'm like, yeah, I was. Because a lot of times it'd be awesome to not just go up and hit one business, like again, set up a workshop and maybe have the county's help or the city's help to set up something, whether it's a centrally located area. Maybe it's in Forks or in Port Angeles or Squim, and we can get more businesses to show up to there to do a 2-3 hour session.
Great idea.
Carol, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I'm with a local community bank that's been serving community for over 100 years. And I'm just curious, when PPP happened, our bank, Kitsap Bank, was the partner for our small business community, and we processed a lot of those. How do banks partner with the SBA loan program? I might have missed that. I had to step away for a second.
No, that's no problem at all. I was going through and I don't know if Cynthia, are you on the call? Okay, so my counterpart, she's from SBA and she was going to be able to cover all of those questions, but I don't see her on our thing and I don't hear her on our thing. So I'm just going to have to take that information because I want you to get an answer. So if something might have come up, and so what I'll do is I will, Carol Kowalski. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat also, and then it'll be on the last slide of this too, because if there's any SBA questions, I don't want to talk to it just because I don't know enough about it.
Sure.
I would love to be able to, but I can go through just for good measure. I can show you the slide. I mean, there might be an answer on one of the slides.
Yeah, I might have missed that one. I'll screenshot that one too. Thank you. We have quite a SBA team, and they may within the bank, and so I'll double check with them. But we want to be prepared to help our business clients in the community when and if that happens.
Okay, which bank are you?
Kitsap Bank. It's your local community bank. We
Okay.
We serve Clallam, Jefferson, Mason, Kitsap, Pierce, and a variety of places around the state.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, that's no problem. I will yeah, I'll reach out to Cynthia after to make sure everything's okay. Maybe we should hit some
Thank
bad
you.
weather. You're very welcome.
And if it helps, whatever we learned there, Mitch, I'll share that back to you. I appreciate you for the link so that all of our local banks that are SBA official partners would be able to be a prepared partner for the business community.
Great. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she mentioned, I just dropped a link from the SBA website on disaster assistance and all the SBA programs. It's at least a way to start. It breaks down the different loans available and different resources. So it might be something worth familiarizing yourself with.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it might be, we were just talking about partnering with SBA on a variety of workshops for the business community, and maybe with Valente, we could do that together as well as one of the core topics as it relates to how you sign people up, and then how we come alongside SBA to support disaster loan assistance when there's not a disaster yet, so people are ready.
No, that would be exceptional. And so I guess outside of my planning efforts is that I'm going to be partnering with our SBA counterpart to just continue traveling together to do this. I mean, we're looking at BRE and SBA and the BEOC and anything of the like as a pretty great package to go out and share as like a tiger team, so to speak, to whoever would like to see us. So I mean, working with Column or any of the counties, and I'm always I care about the counties east of the mountains. But what I've picked up from a lot of atmospherics, and I was like, that's great that you're really concerned about, tsunami and all that stuff. But over here, we're just kind of worried about wildfires. So just to throw that out there, because like I am concerned with all 39 counties. But right now it's a lot of focus on everything west of the mountains. And so getting out to any of the counties, especially around the Olympic Pen in the Southwest, like that's priority. So at any time, if there's interest at all, like, can you please come down and bring the SBA person and bring the grants person and bring the outreach person. then that's what I can do. I can package it up and get to you all and be like, okay, we're going to have the next 4 or 5 hours, whatever time you guys want to give, and we'll sit down, answer all the questions, and make sure, at the very least, that we're connected, got a better information, and we've got connections, building a relationship. It's all part of this, right? So, I don't see Cynthia on here, so I'm guessing.
That's all right. She can get us the information at a later point. No worries at all. We got a few more minutes. Is there any more questions in the chat? Doesn't look like it right now. I'm curious. I know, Valente, this is a relatively new position that you're in. I believe you spent a significant amount of time in the military previously. Could you just tell us a little bit about your background and what led to this P3 role you're in?
Oh, sure. So I retired out of the Army active duty 2 years ago. Prior to that, I was a civil affairs officer, and I think the last 15 years of my career, I don't know if you know anything about civil affairs, which I want to point out, it has nothing to do with public affairs. So that's always like, it's always rubbing. I was like, oh, so you were with the media? I'm like, no, it had nothing to do with media. So what we did was we worked with at the national level, military, government leaders and stuff, and kind of figure out ways to connect with their people in undergoverned or ungoverned areas, especially in more of the countries that have really large austere areas like Suriname or Guyana or any of those places. So just trying to connect. But the big push was humanitarian assistance, disaster response, and that was really my area. So when I'm dealing with that, you're looking at all the natural disasters, and Haiti was my first exposure to that during the 2010 earthquake, and they're running around doing that, and then in Afghanistan for during GWAT, and then most recently towards the end of my career was in the Pacific Theater. So I was stationed in Hawaii, and all of our Pacific partners around there that were all looking at disaster response efforts. And so especially in Nepal, or especially when you're looking at the Himalayas, and like there's no better folks to get out there and up there, whether it's high angle rescue or swiftwater rescue or any of that stuff, is the military, because that's what they train to do, especially in those high altitudes. So quickly moving to me retiring and looking across the civilian sector and like, where can I fit in with these things? It's like, all right, it's not humanitarian assistance, disaster response, it's called emergency management, and that seems like that's a great thing. And then taking my job as a civil affairs officer to connect with the people in those partner nations, it's like, well, yeah, it's great. I will connect with U.S. citizens in our own counties and kind of do the same thing. So that's where it nested it up. Emergency management, and then the public-private partnership program manager kind of all seemed a seamless fit for me. Still does. So that's kind of my quick background.
Great. Well, we're excited that you were able to join us today. Again, we thank you. I went ahead and threw your full contact information and phone number, website, all of that. I included Cynthia's as well if someone does have questions about the SBA programs available.
Yeah, no problem.
That, feel free to reach out to Perry or to Valente, I'm sure, at any time. He's and likes to talk to people. Looks like Lori just put a little plug in the chat for our annual gala coming up. It's March 14th. The theme is Pivot to Win It, and the keynote speaker is Jordan. And he's actually a former NFL DB, so defensive back. Sounds like he's a motivational speaker, author, and executive coach. So hope some of you are able to join us for our gala coming up. And then we also have a workshop coming up in the following weeks. It's a small business resources and basically, Lori, can you help me out here? What's the it is from start to smart is what it's called. So basically, it's there to help businesses with finding out all the resources they have available and requirements they need to fill out, anywhere from day one of their business, or if they're experienced business owners as well. Besides that, we hope you can join us for there. Oh, right there. Thank you, Lori. That's in the chat there. It is at the Port Angeles Red Lion, and Friday or Thursday, February 20th, 6:30 to 8:30. Please register. There'll be light hors d'oeuvres, and we're excited about the team, small business liaison team that's gonna break everything down for us, and we'll be there too. So even more motivation to show up. Besides that, any final comments, Valente?
No, what is the February 20th event then? That's a different one. I'm sorry. I was seeing two things.
Well, we sent two. Yeah, we have our annual gala, which is a big celebration for economic development and all the small businesses in our area. And then the second one is a workshop for small businesses.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. No, that's great.
Fun.
Thank you. And I also just dropped a link too for that business continuity planning. You can go into that, kind of cruise around it, and there's things in there, and you can also just print out a PDF or a Word document of questions to look at when you're building your business continuity plan. But
Excellent.
again, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you for joining us. And this will be on our website here at the end of the day. So thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.